In October 1998, inside one of Cairo's most upscale neighborhoods, police force opened the door of an apartment after neighbors complained about a smell. What they found inside wasn't just a murder. It was a decapitated body. Torture, sexual abuse, drugs, forgery, kidnapping, blackmail, and a secret life hidden behind the image of a former security officer and respectable lawyer. This wasn't just a crime. It was a parallel world operating inside a conservative society. And what makes this case terrifying is that everyone involved crossed a line between victim and monster. Egypt in the 1990s was, and still largely is, a socially conservative society. Public reputation matters deeply. Sexual scandals can destroy families. Accusations of prostitution or homosexuality could lead not only to prison, but permanent social exile. Power imbalance is huge. If someone has connections to security services, people believe, rightly or wrongly, that this person can destroy your life. That fear becomes a weapon, and in this case, it was. The victim, Hamdy Kandil, found naked, multiple stab wounds to the neck, head severed, burn marks from electrocution, bound with electrical wire. Toxicology showed extremely high levels of drugs in his system. There were no signs of forced entry, which meant one thing: he knew his killers. Officially, Hamdy presented himself as a former security officer, a lawyer with a downtown office, a man of influence. But investigators quickly learned he had been dismissed from his security job years earlier for misconduct. His law office had almost no real clients. The apartment was filled with drug paraphernalia. It wasn't a legal practice. It was a front. Behind the respectable facade was a network of drug dealing, sexual exploitation, blackmail, fraud, possibly child abduction. For American viewers, imagine a mix between the manipulation tactics of Jeffrey Epstein, the psychological coercion of Keith Raniere, and the sadistic control dynamics seen in extreme coercive abuse cases, but inside Cairo. Tahir, 38, unemployed. Amal, 29, his wife, 2 small children, financially desperate. In Egyptian culture, unemployment for a man is deeply humiliating. Providing for your family defines masculinity. Tahir's mother suggested he seek help from a relative, Hamdy, and that decision would change everything. Hamdy offered housing in his luxury apartment, work money, but within hours of moving in, the illusion shattered. Strange phone calls, men asking for women, sex workers arriving, drug use in the open. Then the escalation. Hamdy demanded sexual acts from Tahir, not privately, but in front of his wife. And when they refused, he revealed the weapon he had already taken from them: their ID cards. In Egypt, your national ID is everything. Without it, you are legally vulnerable. With it, someone connected to police could fabricate cases. Hamdy threatened prostitution charges against Amal, breaking and entering charges against Tahir, prison, their children taken away. Whether he truly had that power is unclear, but psychologically, they believed he did. Fear became the cage. Hamdy displayed classic traits of coercive controller, sexual sadist, narcissistic manipulator. He isolated them, degraded them, introduced drugs, created dependency, alternated terror with financial reward. This mirrors coercive dynamics seen in Western cases of domestic captivity and trafficking. But here's the twist. Tahir and Amal did not remain passive victims. They accepted money, participated in fraud schemes, assisted in criminal activities. Over time, the moral boundary dissolved. They were trapped, but they were also choosing survival through complicity. That psychological shift is crucial. Hamdy demanded something unthinkable, their infant son. He wanted them to give him the child. That shattered whatever remained of their submission. They fled, returned, fled again. Finally, they decided the only way out was murder. They agreed to a farewell party. Amal drugged his tea, not 1 pill, but 5. When he lost consciousness, Taha bound him, electrocuted him, beat him with a wooden stick, then stabbed him repeatedly in the neck. Finally, he decapitated him with a cleaver. This wasn't self-defense in the moment. It was rage. Humiliation transformed into annihilation. Then they cleaned the apartment, forged sales documents, sold his apartment and cars using fake IDs, fled to Marsa Matruh. They were arrested days later. In Egypt, cases are investigated by public prosecution, similar to a hybrid prosecutor/judge role. There is no jury system like in the US. Judges determine guilt. Capital punishment is still actively used. Tahir and Amal were sentenced to death. Unlike US cases, where lengthy appeals may delay execution for decades, Egyptian death penalty cases move faster through the system, though still subject to appeal review. This case isn't simple. Hamdy was predatory, manipulative, and abusive. Tahir and Amal were exploited, but also became criminals. This wasn't good versus evil. It was power, shame, sexual repression, poverty, corruption, fear, greed, a parallel world thriving in silence. And maybe the most disturbing truth is this: Hamdy didn't create monsters. He found people already desperate enough to become them. In societies built on reputation and silence, sometimes the most dangerous crimes don't hide in dark alleys. They hide behind respectable doors. And by the time the smell reaches the neighbors, it's already too late. If you enjoy dark, true crime stories, subscribe to Midnight Files, because the darkest stories are always here.